And welcome back to another week of Racing in the Draft. We are 10 weeks in, starting our 11th week, and starting to get a clearer picture on who's going to make the chase and who isn't. Thanks for joining. My name is Mark, and we are headed to Dover. But before we head to Dover, let's talk a little bit about Talladega. Oh, lots of fun times at Talladega as always. You took some of my advice, then you probably had a really good weekend. If you didn't, you may have still had a decent weekend, because it was kind of topsy-turvy. But either way, let's take a look at the optimal lineup and who would have been your best picks for last weekend's race before we dive into the Monster Mile at Dover. Alright, and as to be expected from Talladega, or Dega, 188 laps, no dominators, as to be figured, and that's fairly typical for most of our super speedway races. But we had no green-white checkers at the end. They finished the entire final stage under green, which definitely kind of threw things for a little bit of a quandary. Hadn't happened in quite a while. I think it was 2004 is what I read. But either way, 5 place differentials, I kind of expected. 2 value picks. I expected maybe one more in there, but 3 finishing spots, which would be top 5 finishers. I expected probably 4, but either way, nobody started inside the top 10, which I expected and called for last week. So if you took some of that advice and picked the right lineup, like that's listed here, then you had a really good weekend. I did not. I was kind of close on a couple of them, but still had a decent weekend, and hopefully you did the same. The best finishers definitely were the drivers to take last week. Ross Chastain being at the right place at the right time and staying in the low line, and literally the seas parted and he won his second race of the year and his second cup race in his career. So congratulations to Ross. But other than that, Austin Dillon snuck into a second place, and Kyle Busch ended up in a third place finish. Never really had the big one, but we definitely had some bigger ones. But as to be expected, the optimal lineup definitely had all drivers within inside the top 9, and all of our drivers started outside of the top 10. So place differential did turn out to be exactly what we thought it was going to be for last week. Now, the 2022 Optimal Lineup Challenge after 10 races. Ross Chastain up to 6. 6 out of 10 races, Ross Chastain has put himself into the optimal lineup. That's pretty impressive, because I think last year Kyle Larson ended the year with 12 or 13. And that's out of 36 weeks. We're only 10 weeks in, and Ross has 6 optimal lineups. So definitely something to consider and think about when you're putting your lineups together. Ross Chastain is definitely showing up in the optimal lineup more often than not. But William Byron, Daniel Suarez, and Eric Jones, along with Chase Elliott, all hanging tight right there. 2 spots out with 4 optimal lineups being made so far this year. So definitely kind of close at the top, and not as many drivers as we had last year at this point in time. But at this point in time last year, I think we had 9 or 10 different winners. So that definitely shows that the guys that have figured out this next-gen car have been running really well. And Ross Chastain having 2 wins on the season, and William Byron with 2 wins this season, both the top of the charts. Daniel Suarez and Eric Jones, I tell you what, they are probably more likely going to get a win this year. They have been running really well all year, just haven't had the finishes that they need. But I think between Daniel Suarez, Eric Jones, and probably Tyler Reddick, we see them definitely being in contention to get their first cup win. So with that being said, let's jump down to this week's race from Dover Motor Speedway. I think is the new name that got it changed its name because it changed its owners. It's now an SMI track, which is the same people who own Bristol and Texas Motor Speedway and Charlotte and those types of things. But either way, I think it's Dover Motor Speedway. Either way, the Monster Mile. full concrete, 1 mile in length. But let's take a look at the specs for this track for the Duramax Drydene 400. Like I had stated earlier, this is Dover. It's 1 mile in length, 24 degrees in the turn, fairly high banked, high speeds. So this is a steep track, high tire wear, and it's an intermediate sized track. Race length is 400 laps, which will definitely equate to we need to look at Dominators. The other tracks that have been 400 laps in length, Richmond and Martinsville, definitely had at least 2 Dominators and potentially even a third. So we were definitely trying to hone in on 2 Dominators, probably 2 place differentials, and 2 guys that will have top 10, if not top 5, finishing positions. By the way, Dominator points equal 280 this week, coming from 100 points of laps led and fast laps of 180 points. Alright, let's take a look at the tracks we use in comparison, because realistically, there is no track like Dover. Just like there really is no track like Darlington when we start to compare. Miami Homestead, you can kind of use a couple of the other 1.5 mile tracks. In Bristol, there's not a track like it. So you're kind of using unique tracks that are high banked or high tire wear and or that are steep. So Bristol is a steep track. Darlington in one end of the track is steep. Dover's steep on both sides. Miami is a high tire wear track. So with all those combinations together, that's why these tracks are what I use to compare when looking at who runs well at these style tracks. Now, we also haven't been to any of these tracks with this next gen car, so it's going to kind of throw things for a loop. If we really were to look at that, we would probably look at Las Vegas and or / Auto Club for higher banked and higher tire wear. Alright, so let's take a look at the driver by driver breakdown, and we start off with Kyle Larson at 11,800. They have priced the top drivers way up there. Haven't seen 11,800 very often this year, if at all. I think we may have seen it earlier this year, but either way, Kyle Larson 11,800. Let's kind of talk about how we are breaking these down. So up here, the number 1, this corner, states that he is what my algorithms and track history and comparison tracks and trends are showing as the number 1 driver for this race this week. His stats here for the potentially last 5 races at Dover, where he only started 3 of those. And out of those 3, he has finished in the top 5 3 times, which also gives him 3 top 10s and 3 top 20s. He does have a 1 win. His DraftKings average is 108.7 for those 3 starts. His average finishing spot is 2nd. Finished 2nd here in the fall, the only race that they raced last year here at Dover. He finished 2nd. Then over here in this portion on the top right is the 13, which is representative to how many times he has raced at Dover in his Cup career, and his stats for those 13 races are 1 win, 7 top 5s, 10 top 10s, 12 top 20s. So with all of that data being put in, it spits out that Kyle Larson is actually the number 1 driver for this week. Now, a lot of it will depend on where he is starting. Even if Kyle Larson does end up getting the pole, he still could easily be the number 1 driver, or at least the top 5 driver. You'll also start to see a little bit of a trend here. Cindric Motorsports in the last few years have been extremely dominant at this track. There have been a multitude of different winners, but Cindric Motorsports over the last few years has been very, very dominant at Dover. So keep that in mind when we're putting this together. Now, we've got a whole different set of parameters this year. We've got the next gen car. They've got wired wider tires, different tire compounds, all those things taken into account. Does throw things for a little bit of a loop, but part of my algorithm when I'm breaking everything down does take the last 10 races, now we have 10, in the next gen car, and also calculates that in. Even with all that said, Kyle Larson still is the top pick pre-qualifying. I will do a breakdown on Sunday morning on post-qualifying and where these guys will end up landing for the race on Sunday, and their power ranking or their algorithmic ranking once that happens. So tune back in on Sunday morning. Probably, I know my son's got a baseball game from 9 to 11. All right, as we said, Hendrick Motorsports is going to be a lot in this first and second page, but Chase Elliott, 11,300, second on the algorithmic power ranking, does not have a win in the last 5 starts at Dover, but does have 3 top 5s, 3 top 10s, 3 top 20s, a 37.4 DraftKings average, and an 18.0 average finish. You can definitely see nobody's going to come close to Kyle Larson's DraftKings average for the last 3 races. So that he has, hands down, way beyond everybody else in DraftKings average and average finish. But there are other drivers that we can definitely take a look at. But the only race in the 2021 season here, Hendrick Motorsports finished 1st, 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. So all 4 drivers finishing in the top 4. Chase Elliott finished 3rd here in 2021 and has raced at Dover 11 total times with 1 win, 8 top 5s, 8 top 10s, and 9 top 20s. Pretty consistent. William Byron, another Hendrick Motorsports, 1, 2, 3, all 3 at the top of the algorithmic and atop of DraftKings pricing. $11,000 for William Byron. There's potentially no way that you could fit all 3 of these drivers into a lineup and at least have anything left over. So, not even think you could even try. I mean, what is that? 33, 34. I mean, you're talking $34,100 that you're going to spend on 3 drivers. You're not going to have any money left over to really buy anybody worth taking. So you're going to have to pick 2 of these guys and then build your lineup if you think that these guys are going to be the dominators. And that'll come down to qualifying. But I have a sneaky suspicion that more than likely these guys are going to come ready to go. But William Byron, in the last 5 races here at Dover, does not have a win, but has 2 top 5s, 3 top 10s, 4 top 20s, a 39.4 DraftKings average, and 11.4 average finish. He finished 4th here last year. 7 total starts with 2 top 5s, 3 top 10s, and 6 top 20s. Hey, look, a non-Hendrick Motorsports and non-Chevy guy, Joey Logano, driving the Ford for Penske. 10,600, 10th on my power ranking. And in the last 5 races, he does not have a win, but does have 1 top 5, 4 top 10s, and 4 top 20s, a 37.0 DraftKings average, and a 12th place average finish. He finished 5th here last year at Dover, and he has started 25 times at the Monster Mile with 1 win, 6 top 5s, 15 top 10s, and 19 top 20s. And his teammate, Ryan Blaney, also out of the Penske camp, ranked 7th on the algorithmic rating that I use, and he does not have a win here yet. And actually, this track kind of has been a little bit of a struggle for Ryan Blaney, so wondering if this year he might be able to figure this track out. In the last 5 starts here, he does not have any top 5 or 10s, but does have 4 top 20s with a 25.5 DraftKings average and a 17.6 average finish. He finished 12th here in the race last year. 11 total starts with only 2 top 10s, but 7 top 20s. Our final Hendrick Motorsports driver, Alex Bowman, and our winner from the last year's race at 10,100, 5th on the algorithmic rating. I'm just going to call it the rating, so I'll continue to say algorithmic. But Alex Bowman does have that 1 win where he won last year, And out of the last 5 starts, 4 top 5s, 4 top 10s, 4 top 20s, a 62.6 DraftKings average, a 6.4 average finish. Pretty darn good. Alex knows how to run the Dover Motor Speedway. Finished first here last year and has 11 total starts with 4 top 5s, 4 top 10s, and 5 top 20s. Martin Truex Jr., this is kind of his local track, but Martin Truex Jr. is also very good here. 9,800, 4th on the rating system. 1 win, 4 top 5s, 4 top 10s, 5 top 20s, 70.4 DraftKings average, who's second best to Kyle Larson, and a 5.2 average finish. He is pretty darn good here at the Monster Mile. 31 total starts to his credit with 3 wins, 10 top 5s, 18 top 10s, and 25 top 20s, and Martin finished 19th here in the 2021 race. Denny Hamlin, in line at 9,500, does have 1 win in the last 5 starts, 2 top 5s, 3 top 10s, and 4 top 20s, a 62.1 DraftKings average, and a 10.6 average finish. He finished 7th here last year, and 31 total starts to his record, does have just the 1 win, 6 top 5s, 14 top 10s, and 21 top 20s. And I tell you what, we'll talk more about it on Sunday, but very doubtful unless he qualifies. I don't even know if he qualified. He could qualify 36 for some silly reason, and I'm not sure I'd take Denny Hamlin. He just is having that kind of a year. It just got worse this year, this past week, because he was upset with what happened at the end of the Talladega race and put out a not so friendly meme tweet, and NASCAR and a lot of people took offense to it. So Denny Hamlin, you get to go spend some time with what they call it, sensitivity trading. So have fun doing that, Denny. Not his year so far, that's for sure. I think he's got too much on his plate. I think he's got the same problem, same bug that plagued Stewart-Haas last year. I think that Haas was busy and worried about F1 racing and all of his other business ventures, and Tony Stewart was having a spat with NASCAR and trying to get his SRX racing series off the ground, and I think Stewart-Haas Racing in general suffered because of it. I think Denny Hamlin's got too much on his plate with 2311 Racing and trying to get that solidified as a, week in, week out team that can contend for, top 10s and top 5s, and that's not happening. And I think Denny let his frustration known when that happened last week. So I can't say I don't blame him, but you got to be a little careful about what you're tweeting and what you're saying and how you're doing it. I just think his mind's distracted. I can't say it was necessarily his fault last week for his finish. That was more on his crew chief, but his crew chief also gave him the win at Richmond, so that's hard to say. But either way, Denny Hamlin struggling this year. All right, next in line. I'm not sure. Did I go through? But Denny Hamlin, 9,500, 11th on the ranking system, does have 1 win in the last 5, 2 top 5s, 3 top 10s, and 4 top 20s, a 62.1 DraftKings average, a 10.6 average finish. He finished 7th here last year, 31 total starts here at the Monster Mile with the 1 win, 6 top 5s, 14 top 10s, and 21 top 20s. Kevin Harvick, 9,300. 6th on the ranking system, does have 1 win in the last 5, 4 top 5s, 5 top 10s, 5 top 20s, a 76.9 DraftKings average. Good lord. He's pretty consistent here, that's for sure, at least in the last 5. A 3.8 average finish. He finished 6th here in the race last year. Has 41 total starts here at the Monster Mile with 3 wins, 9 top 5s, 22 top 10s, and 35 out of 41 times he's finished in the top 20. Good job, Kevin. Maybe he's somebody we need to take a look at depending on where he qualifies. Kyle Busch, next in line, probably our fastest Toyota so far this year. Just seems to always figure out a way to get himself in the top 5 so far this year, where the other drivers have really struggled to do that at the Toyota camp. But either way, Kyle Busch, 9,100, 8 totals, 8 on the ranking system. Doesn't have a win here in the last 5 starts, but does have 1 top 5, 3 top 10s, 4 top 20s, 41.6 DraftKings average, 11.1 average finish. He finished 27th here last year, but 33 total starts here at the Monster Mile with 2 wins, 14 top 5s, 21 top 10s, and 24 top 20s. Alright, Tyler Reddick, 8,800, 9th on the ranking system. Tyler has raced only 3 times in the Cup car here at the Monster Mile with 1 top 10, 3 top 20s, a 30.8 DraftKings average, and a 13th place average finish. He did finish 8th here last year, and we already discussed his 3 total starts. But Tyler Reddick is definitely probably my pick for the next Cup driver who has not had a win to get his win. Maybe this week is his week. So Tyler's been running really, really well so far in this 2022 season, and I expect him to definitely get at least 1, if not 2 or more wins so far this year. Alright, next in line here we've got Ross Chastain, 8,600, 13th on the ranking system. And man, he cannot be stopped. You can see from his car. And Pitbull can't stop us now. Yeah, I'm not sure there's any way of stopping Ross Chastain. He's having had one heck of a year. But not always the best finishes here at Dover. 4 total starts in the last 5 races here. He's only got 1 top 20, a 14.6 DraftKings average, a 27.3 average finish. He finished 15th here last year. 8 total starts at Monster Mile with only 2 top 20s. I think that the issue and problem is it is very easy to burn your tires up, and once you do that, you are just headed to the back. And I think Ross, being the somewhat over-aggressive driver that he is, which has won him 2 races this year, but that's not going to work too well on a track that will just your tires up, and then you're not going to have a great race. So Ross Chastain, if he can figure out the tire wear issue and not be as aggressive, which, I mean, he has shown some patience in a couple of tracks this year and ended up with decent finishes, but he's definitely going to have to keep his aggression level down. Plans on finishing well here this weekend. Next in line here, we've got Chase Briscoe. He's only got 1 start here in the Cup Series. He's 8,300, 18th on the ranking system, and the only real reason that he's 18th in the ranking system is because of comparison tracks / how well he's been running this year. It's not because of this track, because he is not good. Negative 12 DraftKings average, a 35th place finish last year, which gives 35th place average finish, because he's only raced here at Monster Mile once. So we don't have a whole lot of data for Chase Briscoe, but I have a feeling he will improve his average finish. He's been having a pretty good year so far this year. Christopher Bell, 8,100, 29th on the ranking system, and just doesn't run well here at Dover. Maybe his luck will change, but so far, Joe Gibbs is his team. The team that he drives for is struggling, to say the least. But Christopher Bell, 8,100, 3 starts, no top 20s, a 13.6 DraftKings average, a 23.3 average finish. Finished 21st here last year, and we've already discussed his 3 total starts. Daniel Suarez. This could be a dark horse pick, per se. Daniel is teammates with Ross Chastain, so he's got super fast equipment. Just has had some bad luck go his way. he can end up having luck stay on his side and not turn sour, Daniel could also be one of those drivers that's going to be a really good sneaky pick, and I will definitely be looking to see what he does in practice and in qualifying. Make sure you come back and check with me on Sunday when we break down practice and qualifying. Daniel Suarez, $7,900 this week, 23rd on our ranking system. In the last 5 starts, he does have 1 top 10, 3 top 20s, a 34.5 DraftKings average, and an 18.4 average finish. He finished 9th here in the race last year. 9 total starts. He does have 1 top 5, 5 top 10s, and 7 top 20s. Daniel Suarez could be a sneaky black horse pick for this week. Dark horse. All right, Brad Keselowski. Brad just, struggling, to say the least. I think he's kind of in the same boat as Denny Hamlin. He's trying to manage a team. He's trying to manage a car. He's trying to manage a lot of things, and it's just kind of taking his focus away from just going out and racing it. He'll figure it out. He's a smart guy. Same thing with Denny Hamlin, but either way, Brad's a little younger, so got that on its side. Brad Keselowski, 7,700, 12th on the ranking system, and out of the last 5 starts here at Dover, has 2 top 10s, 5 top 20s, a 41.4 DraftKings average, an 11.2 average finish. He finished 16th here in the race last year. 23 total starts. He does have 1 win to his resume, and 5 top 5s, 10 top 10s, and 20 top 20s. Ooh, that's kind of strange. 5 top 5, 10 top 10, 20 top 20s. Say that fast 3 times. No, thank you. All right, next in line here, Austin Dillon, 7,600, 14th on the power ranking. And Austin Dillon, in the last 5 starts here at Monster Mile, he has no top 5s, 1 top 10, 5 top 20s, at 39.8 DraftKings average, 15.0 average finish. He finished 14th in the race last year. 16 total starts to his resume here at the Monster Mile with 3 top 10s, 9 top 20s. Has not finished in the top 20 yet. Maybe his luck will change this year. He's been running very well so far this year. Maybe his luck will change. Kurt Busch, 7,500, 15th on the ranking system. And in the last 5 starts here at the Monster Mile, he has no top 5s, 1 top 10, 4 top 20s, 28.4 DraftKings average, 17.6 average finish. He finished 13th here in the race last year. 41 total starts to his resume. Now, his resume is not quite as good as Kevin Harvick's, but still not shabby. 1 win, 9 top 5s, 12 top 10s, and 25 top 20s. Austin Cindric, 7,300. We have no data points on Austin Cindric in the Cup car here at the Motor Mile. So, check back with me on Sunday. We'll take a look at how he practiced and qualified. He should be fairly good here. He's raced fairly well here in the Xfinity Series. But, I don't know. I've got him ranked 16th, but that's most of that data is coming from the 10 races so far this year, where he's run fairly well. But this track may be a little tricky for Austin. Not real sure. We'll see. Check back with me on Sunday when we look at qualifying and practice. Bubba Wallace, 7,100, 28th on the ranking system. This style track does not fit Bubba's driving style, to say the least. Not to say that he can't end up having a decent day, but history has shown so far that this type of track is not the Bubba's cup of tea. In the last 5 starts, he has only 2 top 20s, a 28.4 DraftKings average, a 21.2 average finish. He did finish 11th here in the race last year. 7 total starts here at the Monster Mile with only the 2 top 20s. All right, Ricky Stenhouse Jr., $7,000, 31st on our ranking system. And in the last 5 starts, he has 1 top 10, 3 top 20s, a 19.7 DraftKings average, and a 23.2 average finish. Ooh, this style track. Ricky's kind of like Ross Chastain. He's an aggressive driver, which can really bite you on a high tire wear track. If you overdrive the corners and get on the gas too early coming out of the corners, it's just gonna burn that right front up, and then you're shot. You're gonna head to the back and probably end up being a lap down. And I think that's what typically happens with both Ross and Ricky. You know, a low tire wear track where they can really abuse the tires and be super aggressive, they are going to perform really well. This track just does not suit that style. So either way, he finished 20th here in the only race last year. 18 total starts. As you can see, it's not good. 3 top 10s and 13 top 20s. Erik Jones, 6,800. Here's another guy that I expect to be a dark horse / sneaky pick, potentially. He's been running really, really well this year. He's really started to mold very well with the move over to Richard Petty. And I think the partnership with GMS and Richard Petty have really done great things for Erik this year. Now, he is 22nd on our ranking system, but that being said, I think there's a lot of momentum behind Erik Jones, and he has the potential, if he can finish out the race cleanly, be at least a top 5 contender, if not potentially even going for his first win in the Cup Series. 6,800 in the last 5 starts here. He has 1 top 10, 3 top 20s, a 27.2 DraftKings average, a 15.4 average finish. Too shabby. Finished 22nd here in the race last year. 9 total starts with 1 top 5, 2 top 10s, 7 top 20s. Good stats for Erik Jones. So that's my another dark horse pick that I like this week. But once again, let's wait to see where he practices and qualifies. All right, Aric Almirola, 6,600, 17th on the ranking system, and in the last 5 starts, Aric has 1 top 10, 4 top 20s, a 23.9 DraftKings average, and an 18.8 average finish. Ugh. He had some issues last year in this race, that's for sure. Finished dead last, 37th. We won't hold that against him. I bet you he improves on that stat this week, because there's only 36 drivers. You have nowhere to go up. Aric has 18 total starts here at Dover with only 2 top 5s, 4 top 10s, and 13 top 20s. Chris Buescher, 6,400, 32nd on the ranking system. Another driver that really does not like this place. Chris Buescher has 3 top 20s in the last 5 starts here at Dover. 11.3 DraftKings average and a 21.2 average finish. Finished 17th here in the race last year. 11 total starts with no top 10s and only 5 top 20s. AJ Allmendinger, 6,200, 19th on the ranking system. We don't have any current stats on AJ here at the Monster Mile, but does have 22 total starts in the Cup Series in his career, with 4 top 10s, 9 top 20s, and no top 5s. So AJ, love to see how he does, number 1 in the Xfinity Series race, and number 2 how he does at qualifying and practice. Check back with me on Sunday when we cover that. Alright, Cole Custer here, 6,100, 24th on our ranking system. 3 total starts for Cole here at the Monster Mile, with 2 top 10s, 3 top 20s, and those 3 starts. 44.4 DraftKings average, a 10.3 average finish. Finished 10th here in the race last year. Cole could be a great value pick depending on where he qualifies. I hope he doesn't qualify up front, because I think he could be great potential for PD upside and finishing spot. Not sure he gets up there and battles the Hendrick guys for a win, but I mean, if he qualifies somewhere in the 20s, and I think he could definitely be a contender for at least a top 12, maybe top 10 type race. But let's see where he qualifies. But I think Cole Custer could be a sneaky value pick this week. All right, next in line here, Ty Dillon, another value pick that I always like to run. Ty Dillon, 5,900, 21st on the ranking system, 4 total starts. That still seems very good, though. Only 1 top 20 in those 4 starts. 17.9 DraftKings average, 23.0 average finish. And he did not race this race last year. And 9 total starts with only 2 top 20s. So, maybe Ty Dillon is track. So, I think I like Cole Custer right now more than I like Ty Dillon. But that's all going to be changed once qualifying happens. Ryan Preece is back. Look at there. Ryan Preece driving the 15 car, I think That's for Rick Ware Racing. 5,700. 25th on the ranking system. Two top 20s in the last 5 starts for Ryan. 26.2 DraftKings average, 23.2 average finish. Finished 18th here last year in this race. 5 total starts to Ryan's record with those 2 top 20s. Not going to be driving real fast equipment this week. All depends on where he qualifies. We'll see. Justin Haley, 5,500, 20th on the ranking system. Justin Haley's been quietly having a decent start to his year. I haven't really heard a whole lot about him, but he has been finishing races fairly consistently, and does drive for Colleague Racing, which typically will put some decent cars out on the track. 5,500, good value. Depends on where he qualifies. So check back with me on Sunday and we'll take a look at that. Todd Gillan, another driver. I think I heard somebody else call him Todd. I thought that was funny, but I'm sure he probably has heard that all his life. But Todd Gillan, 5,400. We don't have any stats for him here. He doesn't have a lot of data points for us to look at here at the Monster Mile. 26 on the ranking system, and I'm not sure that that's probably appropriate either, but we'll see where he qualifies and practices. Maybe they'll have some sneaky speed. So, not sure I love that pick currently, but once that qualifying happens, everything changes. Michael McDowell, 5,200, 30th on the ranking system. Michael struggles here, to say the least. It's not pretty. 13.0 DraftKings average in the last 5 starts. 24.8 average finish. Finished 25th here in the race last year. And 21 total starts. He's only got two top 20s. Ugh. Yeah, not his type of track. Harrison Burton, $5,000. 27th on the ranking system. We don't have any data points on Harrison. So we have to see where he practices and qualifies. Check back with me on Sunday for that. Corey LaJoie, 4,900. And he was almost had himself a top 10 or even maybe even a top 5 finish at Talladega last week. Just at the last moment, ended up spinning out before the start-finish line. But either way, Corey LaJoie here at Dover, not the best stats, but he's also been driving pretty ruddy equipment until this year, and it's still not the best equipment. They're supposed to be all equal. It'll show you what money will get you. 15.0 DraftKings average in the last 5 starts, 27th place average finish. Finished 26th here in the race last year, and 8 total starts, nothing in the top 20. That's pretty much going to be the case for the rest of these guys. We're going to cruise right on through here. Doubtful they make up lineups, even if they start dead last. Cody Ware, 4,700, 36 on the ranking system, 2 total starts with a 32.5 average finish. Josh Bilicki, pretty much the same thing, 32.7 average finish. And last but not least, BJ McLeod, 35.5 average finish out of 4 starts. I don't see any reason to take those last 3 or 4 guys. Now let's break down the optimal lineups that we have seen for the last 4 races here at Dover, and look to see how many optimal, see how many dominators, place differentials, and value picks we need to be looking at. And we'll go more in depth on this on Monday show. But and for the single race last year, as you can see, Cindric Motorsports and the Chevys took it to everyone except for Cole Custer, who had great PD upside, but 2 dominators, 3 place differentials, 2 value picks, and 3 finishers with no dollars left. Oh yeah, that was a weird thing. I'm not sure if anybody else noticed that, but in the Talladega race from last week, it was the first race, number 1, this year that we used the entire salary cap, and it's also the first time at a super speedway, at least that I can find in my records, that we use the entire salary cap. Typically, you have like $5,000, $6,000 left over. Like salary cap doesn't mean anything. Kind of like here, salary cap, you're gonna want to spend most of your money this weekend. Don't feel bad if you have $600-700 left over. Don't think you need to force your way into spending all $5,000. But either way, it was an interesting stat from last weekend at Talladega where we actually, to get the optimal lineup, you had to spend all $50,000. All right, for the second race, it was a doubleheader weekend, so we literally raced Saturday and Sunday in the Cup Series in 2020 because of COVID. So we had back-to-back races, only 311 laps for both of those races. So things changed a little bit. Dominators were still necessary, but with 89 less laps, Dominator points don't become as much of a necessity. So we did see just one Dominator, Kevin Harvick, leading 223 out of 311, so well over 2/3 he led. But we had 4 place differentials, 2 value picks, and 4 guys that finished in the top 5 and had $400 left over. All right, in the first race of that doubleheader, 2020, once again 311 laps. We had 2 Dominators, 2 place differentials, 2-ish values. I said ish value on that because Custer definitely was a value at 700. And 2 finishing positions. I think this would be 2-ish place different. We had only 2 guys that finished in the top 5, only 3 guys that finished in the top 10. So that one was kind of spread out everywhere. It was just a weird year in 2020. Everybody knows what happened in 2022. And then in the 2019 race where we had 400 laps, we had 2 Dominators with Kyle Larson and Denny Hamlin just leading pretty much, it looks like almost every lap other than 20-ish. But 2 Dominators, 2 place differentials, 1 value pick, and 3 guys that finished in the top 5 and had $400 left. All right, so that pretty much is our driver-by-driver breakdown, our track breakdown for pre-qualifying. Make sure you come back and check with me on Sunday. I know it says around 4 and change it. Should be probably, let's see, my kids' game is at 9, should be at 11, it should be back. Probably about noon when I'm going to be, between noon and 12:30 on Sunday. Hopefully we'll go live, get you all the information and stats you need to set up your lineups for the race. I think it starts at 3. So not a whole lot of time in between the time of doing the video and getting all your lineups set, but I will try to give you all the information I can to get you a lineup either in DraftKings or in a Fantasy Live setup that NASCAR.com runs. So check back with me then. Looks like warmer weather hopefully will prevail. I know they're calling for potential rain here on the East Coast, so hopefully that will stay out of Dover and we can get this race done on Sunday. But either way, have a great weekend up until Sunday. I'll check you later. Thanks for joining. Make sure you hit that like and subscribe button. We'll see you on Sunday. Thanks. Bye.
Get a good deep breath. Get ready to roll here. Only about one thing tonight, getting the W's, so got to be around at the end to do that. Get ready to roll tonight, boys. Let's go have some fun.
Don't get me any more fired up than I already am.
All the way to the checkered. You're fine. Nobody's got to run. Checker time, baby!
Hell yeah!
Proud of you there, Mac. Good job, pal. Thanks, man. Good job all day.
Great work, my man. Great work.
Keep putting yourself in position. We'll win our share, right? We got one back today, brother. Good job.
Great job, guys.
Excellent work, my man. Excellent work. Thank you.
Man, that's awesome. Set out with a goal we got it here, bud. Thank you very much.
Really proud of you, man. Drove your butt off tonight. We had the fastest car here, bud.
Probably killed our deal there. Just feel like I gave one away.
Yeah, boys. Way to rebound. Great job. Great job, bud. Really good job. Appreciate you hanging in there with us all weekend. What a weekend. Good job. Thank you.